want love on layaway? Why can't I just go shopping and pick me a man and take him to the customer service counter and set him down and say, I want this one, and I'll come make some love deposits every 2 weeks or every month or so up until the holiday time. Then I'm going to come buy my man and take him home. Don't you sell him to anybody else. He's mine. That's kind of what I'm thinking about for a relationship. That's why I like them real far away. But I'll do all the legwork. Just allows me to control how often we're engaging so I can control how much you're influencing my life. Well, by the end of it all, I decide whether or not I want to return your ass or take you home with me. But it works vice versa too. Everything here is done consensually. That's what I call the love on layaway theory. I'm not bad at love, y'all. I'm bad at relationships. I don't even think I would be anymore. I feel like I've done a lot of maturing over the last few years. It's kind of necessary because I was kind of like frozen in a premature, preemie adult stage. That in between being, legally an adult and mentally and emotionally an adult. I kind of... It's that cryogenics. I was frozen in that state of immaturity until, I got sober and then free from a really controlling, emotionally abusive relationship. Then over the course of 3 years, I did 30 years of maturing. I made that math really confusing so y'all can't calculate how old I really am. What was I talking about? That as far as I know, I'm bad at relationships, but if someone would give me a chance, I might actually discover I'm fairly good at them, or at least okay, for not having any relationship skills. And I talk all the time about how I didn't even know that was a thing until just a couple years ago. I didn't know that was something you had to work on. I just thought, two people who hit it off and had good chemistry just figured out how to make it work, and there was something wrong with me because I couldn't figure out how to do that. It takes some learning. Which starts actually from before you can really even remember that it's happening, because people are supposed to model for you appropriate relationships and boundaries and such. I didn't get any of that. I can't afford, metaphorically, all of the expenses of a relationship. The traditional kind of relationship that comes with all the obligations and commitments. I want to be in love. I just don't want to be in a relationship. I feel like a dude. I mean, I don't know about the love part. I don't know if guys really care that much about being in love, but I think some of them do, particularly when we get to this age and it's like, y'all know you like to cuddle. Don't act like you don't. I don't. I used to be a cuddle queen. You couldn't get me off of you. I was a little koala bear. I was climbing you up like a fucking spider monkey. I would not let go. Now I can't stand it because I had a really controlling individual in my life who used to restrain me and spent several years trying to convince me to sign over permission to him to exercise judgment about when it's appropriate to restrain me. Cuddling is not so much fun anymore. Not after you've had 350 pounds holding you down. What was I saying again? I circle back because I'm the GT moon, y'all. I got all the satellites circling back, too. It's the holidays. It's when you fellas get all nostalgic. This is when you'll finally admit you do like cuddling. Maybe that's just to lock somebody in for the holiday season and then dump them the week before Valentine's Day. Because you don't really want anything long-term once you're done nostalging. I know, because that happened to me 2 years in a row. I decided I am not dating this season. This is the bull that never ends. It'd go on and on even if I had friends. Someone just started hitting it, not knowing what it was. And then they passed it round and we all got confused because it was... This is why I don't have a boyfriend. Dating, though. Dating. That's the kicker, y'all. That's what does it. See, everybody has these preconceived notions about what dating means, when in reality, we're all adults. We can do it however we want to. We can do life however we want to. That's what my therapist is teaching me right now, that I didn't have to follow the steps laid out for me. I did, and then I didn't learn how to veer off the path. And then when those steps started being laid out for me, I didn't know what to do. Except... try to walk a straight line, and doing that drunk for a decade, it's difficult. Anyways, I'm learning we do life the way we want to. We define things as we want to as adults, and dating doesn't have to mean what everybody thinks it means. Moreover, why are you just assuming instead of having a conversation about what that means, what it might look like, instead of just making decisions based on what you assume everybody thinks that means? I'm just trying to test a vibe. You got to decide whether or not we're going to get married someday in order to test a vibe. You've already got it made up in your mind that I'm asking you for too much commitment before we've even tested a vibe. Didn't I say ultimately and ideally, if things were to proceed, I'm looking for exclusivity without commitment? Anyways, I was thinking about it. Because I've thought about what that means a lot, the difference between exclusivity and commitment, and what exactly commitment is, because that's ultimately what relationships are, is commitment to many different things. Otherwise, it's just having feelings for a person and going through life together. That's what I want, not the relationship part. I don't have enough for the relationship part. The relationship part is supposed to be a piece of the life pie. I don't know. Kind of just want to low-key share parts of life with somebody. My life pie is kind of overflowing out of the pie plate already, so only a little sliver of that can be for relationship type stuff. But everybody wants to share their life pie. Who wants to come eat some pie with me? Even though I say that directly, exclusivity without commitment doesn't really make sense to a lot of people who haven't spent a lot of time thinking about what that is. And exclusivity just means you're only exploring those feelings or that potential role with one person. But how you're doing that is not specified. The exclusivity is just how many people are involved. And dating someone exclusively doesn't mean you're prepping them for marriage. It just means that you're committed at that level to only exploring that position, those roles, with just the two of you. Or, who's involved ever in that dynamic. And if there's three, it's your exclusive throuple. Whatever. See, there doesn't have to be exclusivity in a relationship. But people assume they're the same thing. I do want exclusivity. Because I only want to explore that potential role with one person at a time. Otherwise, I can't be all in on that. Then I can't really know for sure whether or not it's going to work out. Commitment is a whole other ball game. But there is commitment involved in exclusivity. If you're exclusive with one or two or even 5 other people, you're committing that to them. But ultimately, in a relationship, there are so many other elements of commitment. There are things you have to commit to other than just fidelity. There's the family dynamic, that it's not just that one person that has to accept you. It's everybody else that they're associated with. It's obligations. Play that role to be there for somebody, to support them in whatever way. It's merging lives, homes, finances, children, pets. All those things are commitments that I don't have enough for right now. And trying to decide whether any of those things are going to work out or if even the feelings are there. First, you got to test the fucking vibe. And I found that out the hard way earlier this year. Unless you've actually seen the animated 3D real life version of someone, whatever you know of them, no matter how much, no matter how deep and intimate and connected it may feel, until you actually know them in 3D real life, it is just an idea of them where you and your mind have filled in all the blanks, all the missing pieces of that puzzle. And statistics say you can't possibly be right about all those missing pieces you don't know from that online or even phone relationship. I don't want to waste my time getting to know somebody whose 3D real life 3D puzzle put together is not that image for me, not my vision. And yet I don't even get a shot because everybody's trying to decide whether or not, well, they're ready for the one. 'Cause I am, y'all. Even though I just spent several minutes explaining it, I feel like now I'm going to get to my analogy that made me laugh the other day when I was thinking about it. Because essentially, I do not want a relationship. I want love. But I don't have enough right now of myself to be giving up a whole bunch of my life to a relationship and all the commitment that comes along with it. I just want love on layaway. I don't even know if layaway is still a thing. But that's a catchy ass title, isn't it? I was thinking that would make a really good reality TV show. Title, at least. The show would probably be really, really uninteresting. Love on layaway. Everybody just putting everything off. There'd be no action or anything. If y'all are too young to know what layaway is, or maybe layaway is not a thing anymore, I don't know, or maybe they've rebranded it as something like less stigmatizing. But back in the day, you could buy things on layaway, particularly around like the holiday season when everybody's buying those big ticket items, but not everybody has the salary for that shit. Well, those who are, gifted enough to plan ahead, not me, those people would go pick those things and take it to customer service and say, I want to put this on hold for myself. I want to reserve this for myself. And then they come make payments on it so that when it's Christmas time or holiday time, whatever you celebrate, because I don't discriminate, you go purchase your thing because now you've afforded it over this time. That's very financially responsible of you. Good for you. Anyways, love on layaway, the concept I was thinking of is that I really just it sounds really arrogant and conceited and entitled of me to say that, but I really just want to take the man off the shelf and reserve him for later for love. Or I guess the love part is the layaway part. I'm making installments of love that I have enough to give right now so that eventually the relationship can flower, But it's a two-way street, so it's not arrogant and conceited, really, because it's consensual on both ends. I also want you to entertain and keep yourself busy over there and focus on your full life and come make deposits, love deposits to me every now and again to let me know we're hanging out here off the shelves, reserved for one another. That's kind of what I want to do with love deposits. I want to Snapchat, maybe a couple times a day, maybe once a day, depending on how long our conversations are or, how sexy they get. I'm just kidding, sort of. Anyways, I just want to do that mostly and, just send funny memes and laugh together and, then maybe once a month or maybe 2, or once every couple weeks if we really start getting comfortable with each other, you let me come cuddle or something. And see, I come to you because I don't expect you to go out of your way for little old me, particularly if we're just getting to know each other. I can't afford a relationship right now. Not in the traditional sense, in the way people think about relationships, where it's like that's sort of the boot camp for marriage. I'm not even sure I am marriage material yet. I'm still thinking about a lot of those real important life decisions, like kids. And I got a fucking biological clock ticking over here like a nuclear bomb about to go off. There's about to be a mushroom cloud of estrogen destruction. Thank God I said it right. I can't stand when people say nuclear. It's even more embarrassing when your president can't pronounce it or be trusted with the button. This is the bowl that never ends. It'd go on even if I had friends. So my analogy of love on layaway is like, I want to pick out that thing that I want. I want that thing. And I always get what I want, y'all. I always know what it is, and I do lots and lots of shopping and research, but I know what I want when I want it, and I find a way to get it. Generally for the cheapest possible price. Because I'm a bargain hunting bitch like that. That's why you shop around in the blue collar men. Got a lot of good ones floating around in there. Sometimes, though, you got to get down in the mud. And I'm about that life. Anyways, you tell I'm a little manic right now. All the expenses of a relationship, metaphorically, I can't afford that right now. I'm a working girl, too. Right? I'm earning it paycheck to paycheck. But I want that thing. I know what I want, and I'm biding my time. And mutually, too, because I'll take myself off the shelf for you. And then eventually we'll reevaluate and decide if we can go into that more serious stage. What was I talking about? I can't stop myself. I get on a roll and then it just takes me. If I stop myself, then, well, it's like the stones that were laid out for me have stopped and I can't walk a straight fucking line. What were we talking about? Why I'm dirt fucking poor when it comes to relationship currency? That's what I was going to explain, I think. I probably need a whole nother forever bowl for this one. Oh, good Lord. This was supposed to be a short, like, little snappy chat snippet, and it's turned into a whole essay, but that's what I do best. That's part of that thing. We got to check whether or not we can tolerate one another, because I speak in essays. Sometimes in iambic pentameter. Bonus points if you know what that is without having to Google it. Why I am dirt poor when it comes to relationship currency. Mostly because I've been alone my entire life. In some way or another, some ways being a bit metaphorical, but still very much representative of my experience in the world. When I was growing up, there was a lot of neglect, mostly emotional neglect, I would say, or at least most damaging was the emotional neglect. And I didn't have good modeling, and most of my teenage and young adult years were spent living a double life and hiding what was going on in those respective worlds. That's a really lonely place to be, particularly when it's your own parents and family putting you in that position when you're a child. And I don't think I really have to explain how lonely it is to be a drunk for a decade. Particularly when you're ostracized from your own family because you were the only one that wasn't supposed to be the alcoholic. The only reason I came out of that is because I somehow entered into a really controlling, emotionally abusive relationship where every single move I made was controlled and critiqued. Everything from what I should do with the next 4 years of my life so that I could walk a career path I'd given up on, a decade before. All the way down to how I wipe myself after I use the bathroom. There wasn't much left to come back to. And there was a lot to keep out. So I built a fortress around myself. Spent a lot of time defending the walls I built. Because I had to. And then when I didn't have to anymore, I still felt like I had to. Still do. I have codependency issues. And that doesn't mean clingy. Everybody thinks codependent, oh, you need someone else. You're too clingy. Quite the opposite. I need my alone time. Too much clinging, I start to feel suffocated. I hate being smothered. You would too, after those 350 pounds were weighing on you. Codependency just means that your existence in the world is sort of a function of someone else's, in that they control how you feel about a situation or anything, really. For instance, if that person is unhappy because I've said no to something, well, I only want that person to be happy. And if I can do something to make them happy when I've done something to make them unhappy, well, how can I restore order to the world? And then I've sacrificed everything for somebody else's feelings again. I built this fortress, but I didn't build anything within the walls. Metaphorically speaking, there's no substance here, no substance to my life. There's nothing to protect. So when somebody else comes along talking about their wonderful kingdom, I just abandon mine. Then I change everything about my world for them, and the only thing they change is their mind. I have no kingdom to go back to. I'm not too busy. I don't have too much going on in my life. It's quite the opposite. I'm trying to build my life into something that's my own. It's not built on the stepping stones that were laid out on a path that were just suddenly ripped away and I'm left out high and dry. All my metaphors are confusing me. It's been really hard learning how to reconnect with the world. And people are the hardest part of that. It's like the world itself is one whole element, and then people is a whole other element all its own, because there's so many variables when it comes to people. If the average person has an idea of what it means to be an introvert, I am that exponentially. I can't really manage people and all of their needs and be committed to obligate myself to that, because I can't even manage my own, and I've got 3 animals, 3 living things that depend on me. So their needs come first. It's exhausting. That's why I'm not relationship material. I can barely manage the relationships I do have in my life, and those should be the easiest ones, the bare minimum, immediate family. That takes it out of me. I can't afford a fucking relationship, because every cent I have, I'm invested in myself right now. But I still want companionship, and I don't want to be wasting time while I'm getting my life together. I want to be sharing that with somebody that eventually we could share our lives together. just want to share my pie. And it's not about just gobbling shit up. About taking your time and enjoying it and, well, just having a slice. If somebody offered you a slice of pie, would you just straight up dislocate your jaw like a goddamn python and just eat the whole fucking slice of pie in one bite? Or would you get some whipped cream and a fork and, if you're lucky, a little scoop of vanilla ice cream and enjoy that shit? You know what I mean? I want that sharing part. So, like, I want somebody. I just don't want them all the time. How do you say that in the beginning? So what are you looking for? That's usually one of the first questions people ask. So what are you looking for? Well, I want you to Snapchat me maybe a couple times a day. I want to exchange memes and photos and, I don't know, flirt a lot. And then I want to come cuddle like once a month. And I want you to have a long-term vision that we're building a future together and we're just trying it on right now to see if it fits. That's what I'm looking for. Are you down for that? Are you down to risk it all for that? Doesn't sound very appealing, does it? Instead, I just gotta play that. I don't know. What about you? Like any guy's gonna be honest about that. I just want a bone. And then if I don't hate you by the end of the night, well, maybe I want to bone you again. Then eventually you get a bit attached and kind of lazy and just decide to commit. Is that what I'm doing? No, because I actually want to get to know somebody. I just want to do it kind of how people used to. Y'all think if I'm interested in you, I want to get to know you. I want to test the vibe that I'm testing out, whether or not you're ready for merging our lives together. Y'all, I'm agoraphobic. I've spent the last several years barely leaving my house. I'm not ready to move in with you. That doesn't mean we can't still develop feelings and try to see if it fits. We might be able to make some sacrifices and compromises and eventually commitments to make things work. But we have to decide whether or not it's worth it for that. And I guess if you really think about it, the relationship aspect is just when you have to start talking about making choices together. Up until then, you're just getting to know one another, and hopefully you're on the same page about how many people you're getting to know at the same time. Ideally for me, because I'm insecure and because who wants to like stack the odds against themselves? Ideally for me, I want exclusivity in the process of us getting to know one another so I can, keep everything straight. It gets too complicated when you got multiples. I'm getting off track again. What was I saying? Oh, if you can use the word sacrifice, you're really just sacrificing a little bit of time, which you're completely in control of how much of your time you're willing to sacrifice, getting to know that person to see if it fits, if there is something that clicks and makes sense. How much are you really sacrificing when that's all you're sacrificing? Then everybody just assumes the idea of dating correlates to we're going to decide whether or not we want to jump into a relationship. What does that really mean? What aspects of a relationship are different than just dating? It's sharing responsibilities. It's merging households, it's merging families, it's obligating yourself to the other person's needs and wants. It's making sacrifices, it's making decisions together and for one another. Those aren't the same thing. At least not to me. And I think these days everybody's kind of making it the same thing because everybody just wants it right away. Nobody's really willing to work for it anymore. And I think working for it means we should commit to getting to know each other and not multiple other people. And how much time we spend doing that is completely up to you. And how involved that is completely up to us. And that's part of the trial process is communication. And how far away we are and how often we see each other is also completely within our control, as is, well, whether or not our pants stay on in the meantime. Whose uglies we bump. You ain't got to worry about shit with me because, well, nobody likes me. And if anybody actually does like me, I generally don't like them. All that other stuff. The relationship stuff, the part that actually makes it a relationship, which is not the exclusivity part. All that other stuff is what I don't have the funds for right now, the love currency for right now, but the love on layaway part. I can afford that shit. I'm being a responsible, mature adult and setting a love budget for myself. That's going to be my 2025 resolution. I'm setting a love budget for myself. And I need somebody else who's also a little needy right now after the holidays. Also cannot afford a relationship, needs a little break from people, but, you know, still wants a little loving on a budget. How do I cut this down into like a 1-minute Snapchat video? Verbal currency is something I'm never short on. I'm just speaking in metaphors. I'm trying to put it simply and I keep getting lost in metaphors. I'm being serious though in the analogy that like I really need to relearn how to be around people. It's extremely taxing for me. And I need also to learn how to manage the rest of my life pie. And so there is still the need for companionship, but not doing it like everybody else, you know? I don't know, I hope some of that makes sense. I really need time to work myself back into the world, and I can't take too much of people. So I'm kind of in this weird purgatory between the people who are ready for marriage and the people who have given up on love. I'm still somewhere in the middle being a hopeless romantic who's also extremely pragmatic. That's the sway. That's the OG metaphor, the life philosophy, the sway. There being a duality of myself, at least, but probably for most people, a duality of being, opposing forces, pulling you in generally opposite directions. At least not the same direction. And you have to learn how to sway those forces and keep your balance. And hold your direction. So anyways, that's love on layaway, a different kind of date and sway. It's about hope for the future and working towards something. Feeling like you earned it. Just in time for the holiday season. so you can make somebody else's existence joyful. Okay. Good night, Sway. That's also a nod to Good Night Moon, because, well, that's me too. We'll talk about that metaphor another day. Y'all come back now, you hear?